a whole cost of not just the chauffeur or the driver. You're looking at, the conductor. You're looking at the fuel station. You're looking at quite a lot.
Okay, all right. Yes, we're pleased to have John Walgem, an economist. Thank you for joining us this morning on the Consumer Desk. Yes, the clampdown on DMCs has been hard. And the security forces continue together with the Minister of Works, continue to push them outside. The question is, are we just making Kampala safe or Ugandan roads safe? What is the implication on the household fare and also the impact on the downstream?
Okay, so firstly, I think this is something that should be routine. A DMC has no business being on the road. It endangers the lives of Ugandans, and it also, if you look at climate change and the impact that has, it's very negative. Now that said, my proposal would have been that should have been phased so that owners are given a time to make right these cars before this operation starts. Now in terms of impact, we are seeing that impact at several levels. One, it's the impact on the consumer. Me, the person who uses the taxi.
The taxi.
Yeah, suddenly it's now more expensive to use a taxi. It's not easy, there are delays. If you look at these taxis and the kind of delays that passengers are experiencing, it's huge. So that's the first impact. And of course, if you spend more,
effect on
it has ripple effect on the economy, productivity. Because if I get to work late,
those are less hours.
And it affects productivity of the economy as a whole. And then, of course, it becomes more expensive for the individual. So, in terms of the household, there's a bit of strain in terms of spending and so on. You're basically spending more on transport. And then you look at the impacts on the operators, the owners of the taxis, the employees, so where do they go in the short term at least? And then you look at financial institutions that may have extended credit to the owners to acquire these vehicles. So there's a bit of a chain, but what I would say is that the impact is not entirely negative. See, there's also a positive aspect in the sense that there's less traffic jams. So for the people with their own cars, they are getting to work faster. There's less congestion. You see that there's more, the air is more fresh. So there are certain positive aspects and there are certain negative aspects.
So let's look at the cost of productive time that is lost. Can we quantify in absolute? There's a report that I saw like 5 years ago that talked about how Ugandans lose over 15 hours in traffic, and that can be qualified into productive time. Can we quantify the productivity that is lost in this whole? You've talked about people now having more waiting time to get a taxi. By the time they reach work, in the evening, instead of leaving at 5, you're panicking and thinking I should leave maybe at 3.
At 3, yes.
What is the impact in this?
No, my estimation would be that in terms of delays per person, you're experiencing about 2 hours of delays per day. So there's that for the person using the taxi. But on the flip side, like I said, there are also Ugandans that are getting to work faster, because if you use the aggregate, most Ugandans lose an average of 2 to 3 hours in traffic every day. Some lose more, depending on where they stay. Now, for a certain segment, they are getting to work faster. But then for the majority, because the majority don't own cars, we see that they are losing close to 2 hours. And that has an impact, as I said, on the productivity of our workforce. But I would imagine that this is a short-term kind of measure, short-term pain, because what we need to consider are the alternatives. If government is planning to improve the public transportation in Kampala, and as a result we are experiencing this pain, then for me that's, in my opinion.
Okay, we don't want to release you now. Let's first go to town and find out from Dan Walgembe. We will conclude with you and also get Dan Ayebare, I beg your pardon, get a picture of what is happening. There is, I had Chris given you a Chiganda name and I had made you a Mulangira. Oh, I don't know what I was going to tell the Katikiro. Good morning, Dan. Let's give us a picture of what is happening in downtown.